Welcome to the NBA Triple Double Show powered by SportsMemo. I am your host, Ronald Cabang, also known as UCapper on sportsmemo.com and on Twitter at @U_Capper. You can see my little tag right there down in the bottom corner. So far it's been a great season. It's only been 2-3 days so far, but I'm 6-2-1 on the NBA season so far for my clients. So hopefully we can continue to provide some great information and winners on this show. Before we bring in Matt, let's talk about some promos real quick. To celebrate the start of the season, we are offering a 7-day NBA package for only $49 on both Wager Talk and on Sports Memo. There's no limit to the number of handicappers you can use on that promo as well. No promo code needed, I don't believe. And also, if you're looking for season-long NBA packages, you can get $100 off any NBA package, NBA season package with code NBA100. Look for your favorite NBA capper and use that code. Just head over to sportsmemo.com. Always dropping great promos, daily promos, week-long promos, season-long promos. Just head over to the site after the show today. Now let's bring in my homie, Matt. What's good, Matt? How you doing, man? Yesterday we had only 2 games. So not much going on, but how is everything going in the NBA so far this season?
Yeah, so far in the NBA this season was doing pretty solid. Yesterday, kind of not the best day I've ever had. Went 1-3. Got to be honest about it. 4-5 on the season right now, but looking to bounce back. In that Sixers and Bucks game, I personally thought it would be a little more high scoring, like nothing crazy, but not like 90-88 or whatever the final was there.
Yeah.
I was big on Giannis yesterday with Middleton being out and Embiid just not looking like himself so far in the season. What did you think about that?
Yeah, Embiid, man, it almost seems like he's not either there's just the pocket, there's just like pockets of moments where he either looks lazy or tired.
Yes.
And I think it's because of the minutes that he's playing. He's definitely playing above his season from last season. I think he was around 32-33 minutes a game. Yeah. Right now, after 2 games, 36 and 37 minutes. I think it's just a little bit too much for him. And and I think Doc just really needs to trust his bench right now. If you look at the number of minutes, like guys like Harrell, Montrezl Harrell, he's a capable player. I don't understand why he only played like 2 minutes yesterday. You got to take advantage of that deep bench if you're playing a team that's a little bit older in age, especially on the bench, like the Bucks. That was kind of like my takeaway on that game.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I completely agree with you. There's just times where, and you heard the announcers talking about it too, they'd be like, it's 4-on-5 basketball right now. It's 4-on-5 basketball right now. And then all of a sudden you would just see Embiid creeping in the back of the screen. And I don't know if it's laziness. I don't know if he's tired, like you said, but it's definitely affecting the 76ers through 2 games in the season.
Yeah, a lot of it really is on those turnovers and those non-calls where people just kind of complain right after. I mean, it's not just Embiid; it's guys like Luka and stuff like that who do it too. But that does affect the game flow, especially with the take foul situation, right? If you're not going back, that's an easy bucket right there.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, there's a lot to think about early on in the season. Things are going to change, and people are going to adjust to the new rules and the new style of play. Everyone was talking about over because of the new take foul rule. And yesterday we see 2 really, really low unders. So we'll see how today goes. A huge slate. We got 3 games on the board for us to talk about. Raptors, Nets. We got the Celtics, Heat, and the Nuggets, Warriors. I think 3 key games out of all of them. We tried to pick the ones that were pretty interesting versus the ones that were kind of with the bottom tier teams like Spurs and Pacers. Nobody wants to listen about those guys, but so first one on deck, I think it's the Raptors and Nets here. Raptors coming off of a nice win, Cavs against the Cavs, and the Nets are coming off of a loss to the Pelicans. Matt, how are you looking at this game here?
So for me, this is a tough one because you look at it and you're like, okay, I feel like the Nets would be in a bounce back spot here after a pretty poor showing in the opener, and it was kind of somewhat like we discussed when they were facing the Pelicans. We talked about the playoffs and how the playoffs, Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving had to take on the load and take on the majority of the shots, and it really wasn't a recipe for success, and it didn't work against the Pelicans. And now they face a Toronto Raptors team who is very good defensively. I do like this Raptors team with a starting lineup of Fred VanVleet, Gary Trent Jr., who I feel like Gary Trent Jr. is one of the more slept on players throughout the NBA. He's a good defender. He can slash to the basket. And he has a great three-point shot. When he is on and hitting those shots, he is for sure a difference maker in that game. Then you have OG Anunoby, who's a pretty good scorer and a long, lengthy defender. You have Scotty Barnes, who is Rookie of the Year, a very, very good defender. And then on top of that, you have Pascal Siakam, who is a smaller 5, but when facing the Brooklyn Nets, that really doesn't matter because they're not a very big team anyways, and they struggle rebounding, and we saw that in the Pelicans. You and I talked about Jonas Valanciunas, and he dominated the Brooklyn Nets in that game. So for me, if I were to go anywhere, I would probably go back to the Raptors here. You kind of look at the Nets and you think bounce back here, and I don't know if that's the move. Seth Curry is still out. I believe Joe Harris is supposed to play in this game. But again, when looking at this, I do expect Kyrie to bounce back. Kevin Durant is just Kevin Durant. I expect him to have another solid game. But when you look at these two teams, the Raptors are just far deeper than that of the Brooklyn Nets, and a far, far better defensive team, and especially in terms of wing defenders and guys who can match up with Kevin Durant. So for me, I'm going to go with the Toronto Raptors here, and I would take the points.
Yeah, I like that play a lot. I like the depth and versatility and the length of the Raptors in this squad. That you can look at Siakam. You touched on all these guys: Siakam, Anunoby, Barnes, and even Achua off the bench. These guys, all 4 of these guys can rotate between the 3 and 5 positions for this team. That's like something that you don't see in a lot of squads in the NBA. So the versatility is something that is definitely a strength for this Raptors team. And all of them are tall, lanky. They're really great at rebounding and on the defensive side of the ball. Toronto has always been sort of like that defensive minded team. They're definitely not who they were when they had Kawhi and like Lowry and stuff, but these guys have the length to really kind of step into the passing lanes and get a lot of steals. If I look back to the game against the Cavs, there was, let me see, 2, 4, there was like double-digit steals within that starting lineup for the Raptors. They get into the passing lanes, and Cleveland's not known to be that turnover-prone team. It's just the type of defense that the Raptors play. And we already know the Nets are a team that turn the ball over at a high rate, and they don't rebound the ball well. So these are 2 things that Toronto excels at in the front court. And to me, Joe Harris, I believe, like you said, I think he's going to be playing. He's going to be back in the lineup, which is a much needed deep threat for them to stretch the floor, because there was no space for Kyrie to work, no space for Kevin Durant to work, or even Ben Simmons to be that slasher, right? So with Joe Harris there being a threat outside, that's going to open up some space for them. So I think, to me, like you said, there's going to be a bounce back here for Kyrie and KD to put up some good offensive numbers. I would lean towards the Raptors as well, just because of just the roster makeup and the fact that the defense and the rebounds might be towards their direction. But one thing that I want to point out is actually specifically Scotty Barnes. Scotty Barnes is a legit Defensive Player of the Year candidate. He had 2 steals in the last game against Cleveland. We already know that the Nets turn the ball over at a high rate. Zion at the power forward position got 4 steals last game against the Nets. And to me, that I don't know if people look at this type of stuff. I know there's some people on Twitter who do, and so it kind of got me looking at it. But defensive stats, defensive prop plays, Scotty Barnes 2+ steals is something that I think could possibly happen here, and you could get it at plus 175. To me, that's really good value against a team that turns the ball over a lot, and a defensive-minded power forward who gets into the lanes. That would be the way that I look in this game. Kind of stay away from the total and the side here, because you want to see a couple of games with this Nets team with an actual 3-point shooter on the squad to see how they move around. Any thoughts on defensive player props like that?
I love that. I think that's a great one to point out right there with Scotty Barnes, because like you said, Defensive Player of the Year candidate, long, great defender, can poke that ball out, or he's probably going to be guarding Kevin Durant a lot. And when Kevin Durant gets physical and doesn't get a call or anything, he tends to kind of just flop to the ground. And then that defensive player comes around and gets that ball and goes. I've seen Kevin Durant do that a lot, especially if he gets frustrated and is trying to back someone down. So again, I really do like that because Scotty Barnes is going to be on him. And again, talking about player props and bounce back, I love Kyrie Irving. Last game, I took Kyrie Irving 25 plus points at minus 130. Obviously, it missed, but this is a great bounce back spot for Kyrie. I will definitely be checking out that 25 plus points. He averaged 27 last year. He's a spark plug. He just needs to see a couple shots go in, and then he's going to start rolling. And again, a minus 130 price tag for 25 plus points. I don't know what it is tonight, but if it's anywhere close to that again, I will have it.
Yeah, we got some activity in the chat there. Needs to get cleaned up. But we got next game here is the Celtics and the Heat. I think Miami, to me, I think Miami is going to struggle this season, but this does look like a spot that they match up pretty well with the Celtics. What is your take on this matchup here?
Honestly, with this one, it's kind of tough for me again. These two teams do match up very well. They tend to slow the game down. After watching Jason Tatum, though, I really think he's going to take a big step forward this season. He was so aggressive. His shot making is just incredible. He's got that long, tall shot release. In comparison with the Miami Heat, the only reason I would really go with Miami here potentially is because they're in Miami. They do tend to play a little better at home. But for me, I'm going to go back to the Boston Celtics. I'm going to go with the Boston Celtics at minus 2.5 here on the road. I think I kind of overlooked last game with Robert Williams and everything like that, thinking how big of a factor that would be with Embiid. And I do like Adebayo here. He's very versatile. He's athletic. I believe his over-under point prop is 16.5, and I do like that tonight. But the way that Boston works defensively, they are so good at double teams. If you have your back to the basket right when you turn to go and take that shot, that's when Boston creeps in, gets that steal, gets another hand up, just another defender on you. I just really like what Boston did last game in terms of defensively. And obviously you love Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, the step forward that they took. This is a very deep team with Derek White, Malcolm Brogdon. I loved what Malcolm Brogdon did last game. He's one of my favorite players in the NBA. Very slept on, and he didn't even have to facilitate that much. He is a good facilitator on top of everything. Grant Williams came in and made some shots on top of it. So for me, I just like the depth of this Boston Celtics team. I think Grant Williams is a great matchup for someone like Jimmy Butler as well. He's a tough defender. So for me, I still give the edge to Boston here, even though the Heat are looking to bounce back.
Yeah, I like that look a lot too. I mean, Celtics really showed they're different. They have like a different offense, it seems like here. Obviously it's going to be different when you don't have Robert Williams there. Yeah. But you can see they kind of played a little bit of a faster pace, and so did the Heat. I mean, if you look at their roster makeup, now you got Tyler Herro starting at the shooting guard position, and he's all offense, right? Yeah. So I think to me, just looking at the roster makeup of Miami, it almost seems like it's not your typical Spoelstra team, right? Like the fast pace didn't fit them in the first game. They had a bunch of turnovers, and that's not something that you see with a normal Miami team. With that said, I think Boston, they shot 56% from the field against the Sixers. They are a great offensive team. They're looking to push the pace on their coach Mazzulla, but I do think they're going to come back down to earth a little bit. 56%. In the NBA is not sustainable. I mean, even if it's just a 2-game span or whatever, as much as Miami's defense has taken a step down, I think they're going to put in a really solid effort here, especially with Butler possibly being on Jason Tatum. That's going to have a lot of that, a lot of the offense kind of flowing in a different direction, not through Tatum instead. Because you saw in that game against Philly, Tatum was taking advantage of PJ Tucker like easily. He would literally like face up right in front of him and take the shot because he knew he wasn't gonna get blocked or affect his shot at all. Yeah. It's gonna be different with Butler on him. With that said, I'm still not sure where to go as far as side or total in this one. If the Celtics shooting percentage does take a dip, that means there's gonna be more rebounding opportunities. I think Bam, like you mentioned, is a key person for this Miami team. If they want to win this season, they're going to have to go through him. And if you got Al Horford on the other side of the floor, he definitely can use his quickness and athleticism. For me, Embiid kind of showed what you can do against this Boston Celtics team from the center position. 26 and 15, a pretty easy double-double. I can see Bam getting a double-double here tonight, and you could actually get the plus odds on this one at either plus 120 or plus 145. I've seen anywhere between those, but focusing in on Bam in this matchup here might be the way to go. What are your thoughts on that one?
I love that play. Honestly, I was looking at that as well. Anytime you get plus money on someone like Bam too, who averaged a double-double, I think those are great odds. And like you said, you can't consistently shoot 56%. You are going to come back down to earth at some point. So I do expect more missed shots from the Boston Celtics this game. And with more missed shots comes more opportunity,
Mm-hmm.
So I do think Bam Adebayo has a great opportunity tonight. I believe it's a lower total than that of the 76ers and Celtics as well, which in turn means more missed shots often. It can be a lower pace as well. But again, these are teams that might miss some more shots. I do like that Bam Adebayo look because I was even looking at his points. So I think the rebounds just go along with it. One other thing I wanted to point out that me and you talked about was the fact that Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum rebounds will be a really good look going forward without Williams, okay?
Yeah.
Brown missed last game, but Jason Tatum's rebound smashed. And he might be the guy to start looking at anytime he's around 7.5, 6. If he gets down to 6.5, I would just pounce on that. But I think he'll be around 7.5 for the majority of the season, and I think that's a good look as well.
I think one thing I want to look back at Tatum, now that you mentioned Tatum again, I want to look at his assist props because if Butler's going to be on him, right, and they're going to flow through Tatum, if Butler's on him, he's likely going to have to pass it out to another 3-point shooter or another offensive player. So assist might be a good way to look at Tatum if you're looking at props there as well.
And he missed that last game too, I believe.
By one, right?
Yeah.
Was it by? I'm trying to remember.
He's a guy who facilitates well. He's a good passer.
Yeah, exactly. So I think if they try to run the offense through him, and he's not able to get a great shot off, he's gonna have a lot of options to pass out to. Boston has a lot of shooters even on the bench. So that's a good one. I think we talked a lot of props on that one.
Yeah.
A lot more. Last year on the triple double, we didn't do a lot of props. We weren't really that into them at that time. But now I think with another season under my belt and focusing in on those, we're probably going to hear a lot more. And then you have your DFS background. So, this is going to be a fun, versatile show, sides, totals, and props. Up next, Nuggets and Warriors. This one, obviously there's a playoff revenge here aspect with the Warriors and the Nuggets game. What do you think about this one? Is the revenge going to be a factor here?
I personally think it will. I'm very excited for this game. This is probably my most excited game I'm most excited for on the entire slate. Just because, finally, Jamal Murray is one of my favorite players throughout the entire NBA. I love just the excitement, energy, shot creation, shot making that he brings to this Denver Nuggets team. And then also Michael Porter Jr. is back. And I like the fact that this is going to be a real test for this Denver Nuggets team against, the Golden State Warriors, who were the champions and the champions of the West, obviously. So I think that the Denver Nuggets are going to show up well in this game. One thing with the Warriors, though, is they were very, very good defensively. I was very impressed with the play of James Wiseman. I was impressed with the play of Kevon Looney. And I think this is actually going to be a better defensive team this year. If I were to go anywhere with this, I would side with the Nuggets, but I'm actually liking the under 229.5. I think this game might be a little slower. I think from the Nuggets side and Jokic, Wiseman once again is a very good defender. I think he could slow him down a little bit. Kevon Looney has shown that he can be a decent defender at least, but more than anything, I really am excited to see how these two teams play against each other with the return of Jamal Murray, with Michael Porter, basically just having a full lineup back, So I think this is going to be a game that the Denver Nuggets get up for 100%. I think this is one that Jamal Murray is going to get up for. So if I were to go anywhere, I would take the Nuggets plus 4.5, but I think I like that under 229 a little bit more.
All right, Matt. So we're gonna have to talk this one out, all right?
All
Because
right, I
I,
love it.
I actually I actually like the over on this one, but I do lean the same way as far as the side. I do
Okay.
like the Nuggets to bounce back a little bit. But let's talk about this total here. So we got obviously we got the Nuggets with the revenge on their mind, right? They got outed in the playoffs last season by the Warriors. They're coming off an embarrassing loss to the Jazz, something that nobody really expected. I mean, I didn't expect it. So and the other thing too is with Murray back, right? So obviously Murray's coming back from a long injury. It's going to be interesting. I haven't seen the news on whether or not he's going to play yet,
Mhm.
but it would be interesting to see if he actually plays today and skips tomorrow or the opposite, right?
Yeah.
I would think that he would want to play in this specific game here. I know Jokic was added to the injury list too with a finger injury, but from what I know, he should be playing. On the other side, at this point, I'm not sure if Thompson or Green will still be limited on their minutes, but we saw against the Lakers, I don't think that's going to be an issue because the team is so deep. You mentioned guys like Wiseman, you got guys like Moody and stuff as well, who you can kind of see Moody. He actually has some like Iguodala type, movement to his body and style of play. So he kind of fits into the squad pretty well. As bad as the Nuggets look, though, they're not that bad offensively. Typically, I mean, if you go back to last season, they were one of the more efficient offenses in the league. So, to me, I feel like it was a big look ahead spot for this team. They took it, and Jazz just took advantage of it. I think the Nuggets, they're going to play a cleaner game. They're definitely not going to have 21 turnovers, as good as Golden State's defense is. They're going to clean it up a little bit. They're not going to shoot five from out of 22 from three either. To me, I think this game is going to go over. I think the Nuggets are going to stay close with the Warriors. That's going to help push the pace even further because the Warriors already play a fast pace, right? So if the Nuggets can stay close, Warriors continue to play a fast pace, this looks like it could go over the high total. I mean, if you see how the Nuggets scored, what did they score against the Jazz? Like 103 or something like that? One right above 100?
Yeah, 102.
102?
Mm-hmm.
And then this total is at almost 230. It's kind of telling us that we're going to see a bounce back from the Nuggets, and primarily you're not going to be able to stop the Warriors to score, right? So that's the way that I'm thinking about it. What are your thoughts on that?
No, I totally agree with you. You're not going to stop the Warriors to score. I think the Warriors are probably the deepest team in the NBA right now,
Probably,
honestly,
yeah.
with Kuminga and Moody,
Mm-hmm.
especially coming off that bench with Jordan Poole. They are definitely the deepest team, not only offensively, but defensively as well. Like you said, Moses Moody is one of those guys a lot of people don't think about, but he does. He has a 7-foot wingspan. For a small forward, he can kind of guard anyone. Like you said, kind of Andre Iguodala feels.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's for me, it's just more so like how high the total is at 229.5. Like you got to
Mm-hmm.
come out with a blistering pace and you got to keep that throughout the entire game.
Yeah.
And it can definitely happen with these two teams. I believe they went over over this total in the preseason on top of that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I don't know. You're kind of getting me thinking about it a little bit.
See, that's the point of the show, right? We want to
Yeah,
be able
yeah.
to talk this out.
No, for
So,
sure.
yeah. But I know we both like the Nugget side.
Yeah, I do. I'm all aboard the Nuggets train for this game, honestly.
Yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. But yeah, that your points are valid, especially for the under. But we'll see what happens.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
might,
I
yeah,
don't think this one will be on my card or anything like that, but the Nuggets plus 4.5 might. I'm
yeah,
gonna have to wait on the Jamal Murray news. If Jamal's out, then I don't know what we talked about before. The
yeah. The injured
player
player
leaves and
theory. Yeah,
replaces.
there you go.
What was that
Injured
called
player
again?
theory. What was that?
The injured player theory.
Injured player theory. Yeah, it's something that I use a lot in my. I mean, it's one of the key things that I look at. If there's a key injured player that comes in, you want to take a look at, or sorry, an injured player that comes out for one game or a couple games. You want to look at that game and see are the guys behind them capable of stepping in for a small period of time. It's not like a playoff series, right? If you lose a key player for a whole series, that's going to affect the game. But in a regular season, you want a deep team that has capable of bench players to just be able to fit in. And obviously your other two or three stars on the roster can pick it up as well, right? Because they got to fit within a system, and if that guy comes out, then they can kind of go into hyper mode and kind of take over.
Yeah.
You saw that with the Bulls, Levine out, look what DeRozan did. He went off. You know what I
Dude,
mean? So
that's
yeah,
a big thing too. With DeRozan, if Levine is ever out or one of those key guys, DeRozan has no problem putting up 20,
yeah.
25 shots, being aggressive as hell. Like, so DeRozan is always a great look. If Levine or any other key, Vucevic, those shots, they got to go somewhere. And almost always they go to DeRozan.
Yeah, the opposite could be said too. If DeRozan is out, Levine's
Yeah,
gonna get the touches.
100%.
Um, yeah, so that's sort of the idea behind injured player theory, and it goes the opposite
I
way
like
as
that.
well. Once a key guy comes in, especially after a long period of time, if they were out for like 5-10 games, right, a star player, and he comes back the first game, you tend to want to look the other way because they're gonna
Yeah.
over adjust the line, and then it kind of messes up the chemistry that the team already had built within that time frame that the key player was injured, right? Because he's going to be the guy that most of the time he's going to be the guy with the ball in his hands, and that's going to affect the game flow and what they've been used to the last few games. So just a little bit of thought process stuff here on the triple double. Now it's time for the best bets. Moneyline Matt, what is your best bet for the show, and also what do you got going on over on the premium side here at sportsmemo.com?
So over on the premium side of sportsmemo.com, currently I have one NBA player prop up. I am definitely going to add a money line play and probably have at least one more prop. I'm a big prop guy. Like Ronald was saying, I have a DFS background. I have one that's honestly kind of how I came into this space. I was a pro DFS player, made the transition into sports gambling, and I think a lot of people are seeing that props are starting to take off. Same game parlays are starting to take off. So that's one thing that I definitely like to look at. And one of my best bets tonight is actually going to be Desmond Bane assists. Okay, Desmond Bane has his over under is 2.5 in this game. He had 6 assists his last matchup and had 15 potential assists. One thing that was very eye-opening to me is obviously Ja Morant was the top guy. He's going to be the one distributing the basketball and things of that nature. But the second guy right under that is Desmond Bane now. In addition to that, Dylan Brooks might miss this game, has potential to miss. He's one of the ball handlers from time to time as well. So, in addition, if he does not play, then I think Desmond Bane will take on some of that assist responsibility. In addition to that, this next game is against the Houston Rockets. The Houston Rockets last game had 30 total assists in the game. Okay, Houston is one of those teams that does not play very good defensively. They're a fast-paced team too, and not gonna lie, they can be a little lazy on defense sometimes. Because of that, I like Desmond Bane with a little pick and roll, maybe with Steven Adams, getting out in transition. This is a number that's only 2.5 as well. This is a 231.5 total on top of that. So they do think there's going to be a lot of points scored. So I really do like the look for Dylan Brooks tonight. Or not Dylan Brooks, Desmond Bane. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that look a lot too. I mean, he's going to be more of a facilitator on the squad, especially with Kyle Anderson not being on the roster.
Great point. Great point.
You know what I mean? So someone else is going to have to take that role of being a facilitator, not only with a second unit. Plus, with this offense here, because they're not as deep as they were last season, they're going to have to try and stagger Ja Morant and Desmond Bane. And if Desmond Bane's on there without Ja, he should be the facilitator.
Yep.
I don't really like the ball handling skills of Dylan Brooks. Typically, when he has the ball in his hands, he's ready for that mid-range jump shot
Agreed.
right away. So to have an efficient offense, I think you need someone who's willing to kind of pass the ball around, set the offense up, and stuff like that. And I think Bane is that guy to be that person when Ja's not on the floor.
He's passive aggressive too. A lot of the times when you're aggressive like that, you'll pull defenders. You can dish it under the hoop, stuff like that as well. And Steven Adams, there's no one better underneath the hoop as well. Just can kind of put it right in.
Man, I was watching this clip. Sorry to rant or like go off on this, but I was watching this clip on Twitter where they showed how important Steven Adams is to this Grizzlies offense. He literally opens the lane up for everyone to slash in, especially Ja. The way that he moves is really unique. He has really good footwork. He's able to box out on the offensive side. And it's not a moving screen either, but he's able to create space for these guys. It's actually pretty dope to watch.
For sure.
I'll try to find it and retweet it.
Did Did you see the video of I forget who's the rookie on the Grizzlies? I'm trying to think of his name.
Was it Laravia or whatever his
Yeah,
name
yeah,
is?
it's like a foreign name. But he had a
Yeah.
towel. Steven Adams just takes it from him and gives it to John. And John just
Hey,
like,
everybody! I saw that clip. I actually posted that too, and they
oh,
were
I think it was
all
you I saw it from. Yeah.
everybody was like looking around, like, what the heck just happened? Like, even John was surprised. He was like, oh, okay, or
Dude,
yeah.
it was so I was dying
Yeah.
when I saw that. Yeah, that was yours who posted it too.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. But to my best bet, I'm gonna go back to something that I spoke about earlier. I'm going back to Bam Adebayo and getting a double-double. You can get plus 145 over at DraftKings. If Miami is to bounce back after a loss like that, they're gonna need a bigger effort from Bam. And you got Horford on the other side, like I mentioned earlier. Bam should be able to use his athleticism and just overall strength to take advantage of this matchup on both sides of the floor. I think he's going to get a good amount of offensive rebounds in this matchup too. Getting it at plus money is kind of just icing on the cake. I'm expecting something like 18 and 12 from Bam today. That's the way that I'll focus in on that game. I do like the Celtics in that game as well a little bit. But for me, plus money to get for Bam to get a double-double, that's the only way that I could look here. I didn't make that a premium client bet yet, but I'm looking to add that to the card today. On SportsMemo right now, I have one play available. I actually put it out last night, and it's moved. I think about a point and a half since then. So that's the reason why you guys want to grab packages, week-long packages, season-long packages, and things like that. Like what you see scrolling on the bottom here, 7-day package for $49. You'll be able to get these plays as soon as the cappers put them out there, and you'll be able to catch closing line value like some of the guys did who picked up the packages from me this week. So that's just an idea. You guys want to go over to sportsmemo.com, look at all the promos. I believe my promo for the season long package is still available. The season long package through the NBA Finals, I believe it goes up to like $2 a day or something like that, if I remember correctly. And that promo code is BANG200. So head over to my capper page. You can see that promo there. Other than that, Matt, anything else to talk about before we cut out?
Yeah, real quick, when talking about the week-long package like that, just to kind of branch off that a little bit, I think that's a very valuable thing to have because someone like myself and Ron, like I'm going to have at least 15, 20 plays every single week. And the way the NBA works, again, the DFS background, I'm going to have spreads, I'm going to have player props, a little bit of everything. But the way the NBA works, there are just going to be nights where, like last night with the 76ers and the Bucks, the total was just so low, it's going to be tough to hit player props. But it will not be like that the entire week long. You're going to have games where, a game like last night, it went incredibly low. You're going to have games that absolutely explode. And when that happens, the player props are far more valuable. They're far more likely to hit. Okay. So again, just tying back into that, because that's how the NBA works sometimes. There are going to be shitty days. It just happens. It's the NBA. A player will stub his toe and he's out for the rest of the game. It happens. But that's why you do a week-long package, because every day is different. Some slates are more valuable than others. There's a 12-game slate on Wednesday. There's a 2-game slate on Thursday. There are days that you attack and there are days that you're a little more conservative. And that's why I wanted to kind of branch off on your point, Ron, where a week-long package for that is far more valuable, because we're going to do props, we're going to do spreads, a little bit of everything. And sometimes there are just situations where a player is going to pop off. I love that Bam Adebayo plus 145, and love that you're taking that angle too, because like on Wednesday, one of my plays was Wendell Carter Jr. double-double. That was plus 100, even odds. And guys, these are people who average a double-double throughout the season. You just have to find that good spot and they're going to hit, So just branching off that, I love the week-long package idea.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it too, yesterday I had 3 plays and there was only 2 games. Today we have 12 games. I only have 1 play loaded right now. So you can't just assume that because there's many games on one day that these cappers guys like me will have that like a whole bunch of plays. So one day packages, sometimes it could be misleading. So those are just some notes from us as cappers. Hopefully you guys learned some stuff. and we get some winners today. And we will see you guys on Monday. Have a good weekend. Good luck on all your plays. Take care.
Peace out, y'all.